Here we go. For the first time in 5 years, we are doing another all-time San Francisco 49ers draft. Last time it was just Wink and I 5 long years ago. Now we got Croc in the building. A 3-team all-time San Francisco 49ers draft. Where's your favorite player going to go? That's coming up right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock, Eric Crocker, Nicholas Winkler with you for a very special series. This is going to be a multi-podcast series on Winky Wednesdays here on Locked On 49ers. At BD Peacock, at Eric_Crocker, and at Bay Area Wink is where you can find us on Twitter. Let us know how good of a team Team Peacock has here. We've got a draft board that I'll show you real quick. We'll be pulling up, so for those of you on YouTube that can see it live, and we'll try to describe the action as good as we can as well, and remind you what the picks are for those of you that are listening on your audio-only podcast feeds. We appreciate all of you making Locked On 49ers your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we're doing this episode live. I feel like we could do them all live because this is a lot of fun here. But I knew part one had to be live as some of the GOATs in 49ers history get taken off of the draft board. For those of you who missed last Winky Wednesday, the draft order is as follows. And it starts with Nicholas Winkler, Team Wink, Team Croc in the second slot, and Team Peacock in the caboose. I get the last selection, but that means I get the first selection in round 2. We're going snake style here in the draft and drafting 22 players. I've heard it proposed, guys, that it should be 25 players instead of 22. We might need, base personnel, nickel personnel,
I like it.
Like so we could go 25 rounds, make sure we got a couple of extra players, 75 total all-time greats to be drafted, the top 75 players in 49ers history. I think I'm into that.
Should be easy. Yeah,
so
that's simple enough.
No problem.
Yeah,
okay.
we can do that.
Well, without further ado, I'm interested in the comments section here. Who you guys think should be the number one selection here? Because you go quarterback, you could go with maybe the greatest player in football history, not just
maybe
history. There's some other players that might have tried to lay claim to the greatest of all time. But to me, there's only one original GOAT, right? Is that where you go, or do you go quarterback? Because there's only 2 Hall of Fame.
Real quick, before we get started, you saying it's been 5 years, man, that puts some things into perspective, because I remember listening to that episode, and I was just a Locked On 49ers listener, and I remember you guys doing that draft and everything. Gosh, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
crazy.
I know.
Time flies.
5 years. Yeah, I remember you tweeting about how good Team Peacock was last time. So I wonder if it'll happen again, where Team Peacock is the best, and I'm sure it will happen. One thing's clear: today's episode is going to be kind of easy because there's so many great 49ers that it's going to be, some awesome players that are going to be drafted here, and. Yeah. Oh, okay. We're Jerry Rice, Joe Montana. There's a lot of folks chiming in on who they think will be the first pick in this draft. We'll go over the rules here. The rules are you get to draft any player from 49ers history, right, that played for the San Francisco 49ers, but you get the player at their peak of what they were with the 49ers.
Right.
So you're not drafting if you draft, let's say, Randy Moss, you're getting washed Randy Moss. If you draft Deion Sanders, you're getting prime Deion Sanders, right? So I think we know what order those 2 guys will go in. I don't know if they will both get drafted in this all-time 49ers draft. John Lynch, by the way, doesn't count. You don't get the safety version of John Lynch. He will be the executive version of John Lynch. So,
are we going up? Are we going to start drafting coaches and GMs and scouts and stuff too?
We can maybe do that. We can maybe do that on another episode. But today, let's get into this draft. Let's start drafting players. Wink is up with the number 1 pick. I'm going to bring up the draft board. Wink, how are you going to start this off? Who is the first selection in the 2022 all-time San Francisco 49ers franchise draft?
It's tough because there's multiple ways you can go with this. I mean, really, there's 2. Right. I mean, there's Montana and there's Rice. You got the 2 best at their position, probably to ever play the game. Rice, you said maybe the best of all time. Rice is the greatest football player of all time. I mean,
first of all, Wink already being disrespectful to the other 73 players that are going to get drafted here, saying that there's only 2 that should be drafted number 1 overall. I think so.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah. So it's tough because you got to look at the other people in that position, right? You got to look at who else there is wide receiver, who else there is, at quarterback, this and that. You both know your stuff too, so it wouldn't be easy to just all of us, roll you guys. So I got a little strategy going here. I got a plan. I got a nice big board over here just off screen, so you guys can't steal my stuff. And you look at it, right? You look at Jerry Rice. He's got amazing numbers. He's got everything. He holds basically every record when it comes to wide receivers. But you play to win the game, right? There's only one of those 49ers that's a quarterback that has 4 Super Bowl titles, and that's Joe Montana. He goes number 1 overall.
Oh, Wink. Okay.
I want to throw you guys off the game with my Rice talk last week.
He did throw me off.
It was going to be Jerry Rice. You went Jerry Rice last time we did this thing, and I ended up drafting both Montana and Young just to stick it to you. This time, Wink learned his lesson. He changed his game plan, going with a quarterback, and it is Joe Montana, the number 1 selection in the all-time 49ers draft. Wow. Croc, you're on
not a quarterback. The quarterback.
The quarterback. He's got the rings. He's even got one from his college days. Croc, you have a ring from the Arena League. What do you think about this selection? And does it throw your entire draft board now out of whack with pick number 2?
I'm looking for my ring. My daughter always plays with it and puts it in places, so I can't find it right now. But I will say that definitely. I mean, I've been thinking about this all day, and I'm like, okay, well, we know who Winky's taking. He's taking Jerry Rice. So I've been actually kind of like maneuvering the rest of my early rounds based on him taking Rice, and he went a different direction here.
You fell into my trap.
He completely threw me off. So, I mean, I have no choice but to go Steve Young here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The top 2 quarterbacks are off the board. Joe Montana.
And that's not who I was expecting to pick.
Steve Young. I was prepared for all scenarios, but I was mostly looking at the scenario. And you know what's funny is I got back-to-back picks now, and it doesn't change my 4th pick, but it definitely changes my 3rd pick now. No, the 3rd pick in round number 1. Joe Montana off the board, Steve Young off the board. There is no other way for me to go. My selection was going to be made by what you guys did, no matter what. And this is super easy. I'm going with the greatest player, no doubt, of all time in NFL history, in Jerry Rice, the one true GOAT.
You can't argue that.
Woo! Oh, this is great. See, I like this. I was hoping it was going to go this route because I've got all kinds of plans at quarterback too. So this is going to be a lot of fun. This is absolutely going to be a lot of fun. I put out a question on Twitter, knowing that I was going to have the 4th overall pick in this draft because I was going back to back at 3 and 4. And I knew these were going to be the top 3 guys. I wasn't exactly sure the order. I didn't know if I was going to be going Steve Young or Jerry Rice here. But I ended up with, and I want to ask you, Croc, would you have gone, if Jerry Rice went 1, would you have taken Young over Montana since you saw more of Young?
I'll tell you a little bit more of my strategy later. Oh, well, yeah. I would have taken Montana.
I like that. Holding it close to the vest.
You said who went number 1?
Yeah, so if Rice went 1, you would have gone Montana too. You wouldn't have taken Young just because maybe you saw him play more and you were focused in and really like, because the early Super Bowls I didn't see, and I'm sure you didn't really even see much of the 88, 89 stuff, right, Croc? So you were tuned in for the 49ers only championship that you've ever really seen.
I can't really. I'll give a little bit more of my strategy after my next pick.
But it would have been Montana 2, Young 3 if Rice went number 1, which is the way we all thought. The listeners thought we're gonna go too. People are blowing away in the chat here that Wink went with Joe Montana. So that's really fun. So now is it off field stuff? Ben asked, why is Jerry Rice falling down the dashboard?
Character issues. Too good.
So this is fantastic stuff. So for me, and I put out a question on Twitter earlier on in the week, knowing I was going to be picking 4th, and I knew for sure who the top 3 picks were going to be in this draft, and I thought most people would pretty much have the top 3 as the top 3 in whatever order. I asked, who's the top 4? Because I wanted to see what everybody said. And the consensus was what I was thinking, who was going to go for me here with the 4th overall selection, the first selection of round 3. But I was surprised that it wasn't even as consensus as I thought. There was a lot of other names that were filtered in. And that was a really fun thread that kind of went viral. I can't believe how many comments there were about the top 4 players in 49ers history. But to me, there's a clear top 4. We will get to the 4th overall selection in this all-time San Francisco 49ers draft. But first, I want to let the folks out there know about BlueNile.com. At BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece, all at prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. You know, if you're ready to pop the question, or you have that special woman in your life, sometimes it's difficult to decide what you want to buy, whether you're buying a gift for your mother, maybe it's your sister, just a loved one in your life, or maybe you're trying to take that next step in your relationship, whether it's marriage or not. The online convenience at BlueNile.com can help. They have on-hand experts 24/7 available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. So if you're having trouble choosing, which I absolutely would when I'm shopping for that kind of gift, they've got you covered there at BlueNile.com. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement rings as well. So use code Locked On. That is promo code Locked On to get that $50 off. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever peace. Go to BlueNile.com today. I do want to thank everybody for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every day. And a special request from you listeners out there is we've put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like, what you don't like about Locked On podcasts. So go to lockedonpodcasts.com/survey right now to get started. Won't take very long. Everyone that completes the survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. So again, that audience survey, lockedonpodcasts.com/survey, and we appreciate your help on that one. You know who's going to need a lot of help in this draft? Because I'm about to put together a powerhouse team. No matter who my quarterback is, this is going to be scary, the team I'm putting together right now. And so with the number 4 overall selection, where's Wink? Wink left the screen. Okay, Wink's back. I don't want him to miss this pick.
No.
With the 4th overall selection in the all-time San Francisco 49ers draft, Team Peacock selects safety Ronnie Lott.
I already had that crossed off.
Yeah, to me,
I knew where you were going.
That was a pretty easy selection for me here at number 4 overall. And the thing I love about Ronnie Lott, too, is he is not only an all-timer, but this guy could play in any era. I know some people will say, Ronnie Lott would get flagged, and you can't be the enforcer this day and age that you could be back in the 80s and 90s. But I went back and looked at Mel Kiper Jr.'s draft grades on Ronnie Lott, and actually Mel Kiper, I found an article, he had Ronnie Lott listed as the number 1 ever best defensive back prospect ever in the draft that he's graded from back in 1981. And this is something that people might forget, because we're talking about if we're playing football in the 80s and the 90s, in the new day and age, he was a cornerback first. He could play cover. He could cover people. He could cover people in the slot. He could play in the box. He could play deep safety. He had 4.4 speed. And how about this? He had, hold on, I gotta find it because I want it to be correct here. Ronnie Lott was a Pro Bowl cornerback in each of his first 4 NFL seasons. That was before he became that enforcer safety that we thought. So this dude is legit, could play in any era, could play in any spot in the defense. And who knows, maybe I'll play him in the slot. Maybe I'll play him at corner. I don't know. But right now I'm listing him at safety. Ronnie Lott, 4th overall selection in the all-time 49ers draft. That means Eric Crocker back on the board with pick number 5 overall.
As you can see, we were celebrating in the war room. We got our guy. He fell to us. And matter of fact, not in this order, actually in a flipped order, I got my number 1 and my number 2 guys that I was expecting to draft when we did our mock in our war room. So with the second pick in the 2nd round, San Francisco 49ers select Terrell Owens, wide receiver out of Chattanooga. I had to take him. We're talking about the 2nd best receiver in NFL history. Now, I'm getting like the version of Terrell Owens with Steve Young, who was like this young, like happy, excited, hardworking guy, not the divisive guy that we saw with Jeff Garcia and with Donovan McNabb and Tony Romo. No, not the guy. Now, yes, he has that talent and that ability, but we got the good version, the good kid. So we were excited to be able to land him and pair Steve Young with Terrell Owens once again.
I love it. That's a great pick. That's who my war room had mocked for you, Croc, as well. And so
I was taking him first when he was taking when I thought he was taking Winky was taking Jerry Rice at 1. I was taking Terrell Owens at 2.
Oh, see, and then
I thought if you take a quarterback at 3, then I'd be able to come back around and still get Terrell Owens at 4. That was my expectations.
Hold on.
I mean, would you have gone Montana Young 3-4 if that had happened?
I would have for sure not let a quarterback get past pick number 4. It would have been Montana Young, or how about this? We didn't have any rules against trades. Wink, what would you have traded to get number 4 for me? I take Joe Montana at 3. What would you have given up to get Steve Young at number 4?
God, look at my calculations on my draft board over here.
Draft chart say?
5 and 6.
I am looking at the chat and someone says T.O. is better with Jeff Garcia, if we're being honest. He started to enter more of his prime. But I meant like in the sense of the attitude.
No distraction.
Right? Like it was like still young, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed kind of Terrell Owens, confident, but still kind of growing into who he was going to be. So it wasn't as divisive of a personality.
Right.
But yeah, the talent, he was hitting full stride with Garcia. And I remember when Steve Young got knocked out the game, and it was almost immediately where you just started seeing like the targets jump up for Terrell Owens over Jerry Rice, to the extent of in Jerry Rice's last game, Terrell Owens had 20 receptions.
NFL record 20 receptions.
Yeah, NFL record 20 receptions. And yeah, in Rice's last game, right? Yeah. So that was amazing. That was a pretty amazing experience. Plus, here's the thing is you get prime Young and prime Owens. So it doesn't matter if Owens was better with Garcia, you get that version of Owens with
the 49ers.
Steve Young. So that's how this draft works. That's a great pick. I expected that to be the pick, and Young to Owens is a pretty nice combination right now for Team Crocker. Team Wink now gets back to back
real quick. One more thing too, because I know Wink is excited about having Joe Montana, and yes, he won more, but was Steve Young the better pure quarterback at his peak? Because we are talking about somebody that was winning multiple MVPs.
Right.
He retired with the highest passer rating in the history of the game. Breaking records, throwing for 6 touchdowns in a Super Bowl. So I'm really excited where I'm sitting at right now.
As you should be. Yeah, you got 2 great players there. Obviously, Steve Young's actually my favorite player of all time. I go by 8. That's my number. That's my online tag. Like, I love 8 all because of Steve Young. So I fully understand where you're at right now.
All right, Wink, you got back-to-back picks here. You're going to finish up round 2 and then start round 3 in this all-time 49ers draft. I have a feeling where you're going here, and I think you're going to skew into the 2000s with these couple of selections. If I'm
you think so, huh?
Are you going in the Wayback Machine and going to the dynasty era 49ers? Which way you go?
I did my homework. I got a lot of dynasty guys here. It's hard not to jump to those guys because there is the recency bias. Like you said, like when you asked Croc, who do you like more, Montana or maybe Young? Because you saw more of Young, which I totally get. My first football memories are Joe Montana to John Taylor back of the end zone, Super Bowl 23. So that's always going to be, the cemented my football love. Like my heart began right there for football, for the 49ers, always. And so for me, it takes me back to a little bit after that, right? A little bit time after that, a guy that a little unheralded during his time. He didn't get all the accolades when he was playing, but he's getting the accolades now, and he's actually entering the Hall of Fame this season. I'm talking about a guy that got Dana Stubblefield an MVP. I'm talking about the big man, number 97, Bryant Young, going off the board. I want somebody who's going to stuff it, man. And he's not only going to stuff it, he's also going to go get the quarterback when it's needed. Like, I want somebody that's tough. The guy broke his leg, got a titanium rod put in it, and came back. Like, that's all you want to say about a guy that's on your football team. You want toughness? Bryant Young, epitome of toughness.
Wow. See, I thought for sure I was going to get Bryant Young in the 3rd round. I didn't see this one coming, but I love the selection. This dude is a superstar player. You're right, unheralded. And I was actually kind of surprised he got into the Hall of Fame because I didn't know if he had enough people who realized how great he was. He was a dominant player. He was Aaron Donald before Aaron Donald existed, before he had that nasty knee injury. Bryant Young was a superstar, and I was going to be super excited if he fell to me, and I thought he might get there. But I love that pick from you, Wink. That's fantastic. Bryant Young, deserving of being a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Actually, hold on. My question real quick for you. I put defensive tackle. You running a 4-man?
I play him at tackle. No, I put him at tackle.
Okay, you're not going to go odd man with maybe play him at that.
Again, I might be able to switch him up, but again, I have him written down here as defensive tackle for the time being.
Versatile player.
A lot of great ends.
Line. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, back-to-back picks here. Wink, who you got at your first pick in round number 3, number 7 overall?
So I'm going a little bit more recent, right? I need to get back to the offensive side of the ball, and I want a guy that you talk about toughness. You talk about a guy overcoming injuries, 2 major knee injuries in college. He comes to the 49ers, and he is nothing but a stud, right? And we're talking about the 3rd all-time leading rusher in 49er in just history, the history of the NFL. It's Frank the Tank. It's Frank Gore, and I feel really good about it.
Okay, you drafted
super excited.
You drafted one of the guys I thought you were going to take there. And again, that's a great selection in Frank Gore. Croc seems very excited about how the board has fallen for him, but I like this. You drafted the newest 49ers Hall of Famer and the next 49ers Hall of Famer.
There you go.
Bryant Young and Frank Gore with those 2 selections. So that's fantastic stuff from Wink. All right, Croc is really excited. I'm sure the folks in the chat are excited to see who Croc takes at pick number 8. We're going to break first. I want to see in the chat who you think is coming up here.
Oh, there we go.
For Eric Crocker in the all-time 49ers draft. But first, I want to let the folks out there know about Built Bar. And Croc, you might want to have a little Built Bar here before you make your next selection, because I know you just got some sent to you, and I know you're a big fan of the birthday cake, the brownie batter, but there is a very special new flavor of Built Bar. That is the caramel brownie. And I know everybody out there loves this. Is funny because they did the brownie batter, then they did the caramel brownie. So did they literally use the brownie batter, and then when they were done with that, they cooked the rest of the batter to make brownie flavored Built Bars? I don't know. I would love to know that from the folks at Built Bar. But chewy chocolatey brownie. What about a caramel brownie with caramel swirled on top? So good. What if I told you that you could have all that chewy chocolatey goodness plus 17 grams of protein, all in a low-calorie, low-sugar treat? Well, you're in luck, because caramel brownie bars are available at Built.com right now, and you got to act fast because they are a fan favorite. But check out those macros. 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 4 grams of sugar. I mean, that's what you're talking about. Replace your brownies, replace your protein bars with Built Caramel Brownie Bar. And you can find it at Built.com. Not sure what flavor you want? You can mix yourself a box of Built Bars at Built.com. And you can get 15% off by using promo code LOCKED15. Again, go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Eric Crocker, Team Croc, on the clock at pick number 8 overall. So far, we've got Team Winkler taking Joe Montana, Bryant Young, Frank Gore in round 1, 2, 3. Croc has Steve Young and Terrell Owens. I've got Jerry Rice and Ronnie Lott so far. I've got a couple picks coming up, but first Croc's got to select here with the second pick in round 3. And where are you going here, Croc?
Prime time. Come on, man. This was the easiest pick.
Right.
I saw, first of all, you laid out the rules for us. It doesn't matter. All that matters is if they're prime or when they play with the 49ers. That's all that matters. And Deion Sanders, in his 1 year, which was a huge year, the 49ers are trying to get over the hump. They went out, they made a splash signing, getting Deion Sanders away from Atlanta, right? He not only catapulted the 49ers to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl, and he had interception in the Super Bowl, I believe. But he was Defensive Player of the Year, and he missed 4 games. Defensive Player of the Year, had 6 interceptions, ran 3 of them back for touchdowns. We saw him beat up Rising in the middle of the field playing against Atlanta, and right now he's helping me beat y'all up too. Deion Sanders, he's Team Crocky. Let's go.
He didn't even get kicked out of that game. The one where he beat up Rising, like neither of them got kicked out of the game. That's so crazy to me.
It was a different time. Yeah, they're like, well, you got to throw a flag, I guess. What's funny, Croc, is this is who I had mocked to you at this spot. I wasn't sure if you were going to go there or not, but being a corner, the only pick that's been surprising so far was Team Wink going in different directions than I thought with the first two selections. But this is fantastic stuff. Of course, you're getting prime, right? So, I mean, you're getting you're essentially getting the greatest corner of all time right now, because that's what Dion was in his one season with the 49ers.
Yep. League MVP.
He was unbelievable at that point in his career because he was a veteran already, but still had all that insane athleticism and could strap up pretty much anybody. And the swag to go with it, because are you feeling good about your team swag right now? Steve Young, Terrell Owens, Deion Sanders, Croc? Because I know that's a factor when you're.
There's been a lot of talk about Trey Lance and his passes, right? Got a little slight wobble to it, right? It's not the prettiest of passes. Steve Young, beautiful, coming out left-handed, but man, that ball, beautiful thrower. Then you have Terrell Owens, and he's on the sideline right now yelling out, "I love me some me," and all he wants to do is make a play. You know why? Because who can make a play? I can. All right, so I got T.O. And then Dion, I mean, come on, man. You taking picks back. You're looking at the sideline, high stepping 60 yards into the end zone. It doesn't get much better than that. So the swag is on a million right now. We're really excited right now in our war room.
I mean, Dion is the epitome of swag.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of folks in the chat that are waiting to find out what I'm doing at quarterback. I got some big plans at quarterback, and it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's not time for me to take a quarterback yet. But I will say just that Dallas Cowboys stench is enough to drop Deion Sanders a couple of rounds for me. So I do think this was a reach, a 1-year wonder. I think there's a lot of players that put down a lot better careers with the San Francisco 49ers.
How?
Sanders.
He was defensive player of the year.
Here's the thing. This
with your favorite team, and he was a huge reason why they even made it to the Super Bowl, and they won. And then he left, and we ain't won the Super Bowl since.
Yeah, they would have won anyway. They had a powerhouse team. But you know what's funny? Speaking of stench, they
would not have gotten. I don't know if they would have gotten past Dallas.
You know what player I still would take over Deion Sanders that I think would make everybody in the secondary better? That is Charles Haley.
Nice.
This is the first time I've kind of misjudged something here, because I was definitely going Charles Haley.
No, Charles Haley's a dude, and you got to get after the quarterback, and nobody better in 49ers history than doing that, and especially when you got a guy like Ronnie Lott patrolling behind him. I'm going Charles Haley there, and I'm just going to go ahead and build the rest of my powerhouse defense here. And you know what's funny? I misspoke earlier, Wink, when I said that you drafted the 49ers most recent Hall of Famer and the 49ers next Hall of Famer. I forgot about another guy who's going to get in the Hall before Frank Gore. Who knows? Maybe they go in together, and that is one Patrick Willis. So I've got superstars on all three levels of my defense now to go with the greatest wide receiver of all time in Jerry Rice. And I'm feeling pretty darn good about the squad I'm putting together. And look, you can have all the Montanas and Youngs in the world, but I'm going to come hunt you. I'm going to cover the guys in the back end. And I've got the only receiver out there that's going to be able to beat the defense I've got in Jerry Rice. So good luck with that, beating this squad through 4 rounds. Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, Charles Haley, and Patrick Willis for Team Peacock.
Those are good, because those are 2 guys that I definitely would have taken. Like once you said Charles Haley, I'm like, all right, I'm going Patrick Willis. And then you took Patrick Willis. So
I thought Wink was going to go Willis and Gore at the time.
I was going Willis. You saying it earlier. Yeah, I was about to go Willis. But I'm actually going to throw it back a little bit. And we're going to go Jimmy Johnson, defensive back, played 15 years with the 49ers. His entire career with the 49ers, is a Hall of Famer, had 47 interceptions, played safety, played corner, and play some receiver as well. So you can go ahead and put a little common wide receiver as well. Got a Hall of Fame DB, just slash. Wherever I want to play him, he can play there. Jimmy Johnson, let's go.
Hey, Croc, was Jimmy Johnson the OG Deion Sanders of the NFL?
I think so. He might be.
All right. Uh-oh.
Is he mute? Does he know he's muted?
Yeah, I think he's muted. Yeah. I think you're muted, Peacock.
Oh, am I muted?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. We got Team Winkler on the clock here. The final selection in round 4, Joe Montana, Bryant Young, and Frank Gore are the 3 players selected so far. You get 2 in a row here, Wink. So we
call it though? Call it on 4 and pick it back up?
Call it through 4 rounds, yeah, because I don't think we're going to have time to go through another full round. So you'll get a chance to start it off in round 5 next Wednesday when we reconvene for part 2 of the all-time 49ers draft. So why don't you finish it up for us here and complete round 4 with
a gentleman who should be in the Hall of Fame, who many thought should have been there 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, long time ago. Gentleman who played fullback in his day, a guy who changed the position in the NFL. Of course, I'm talking about the great Roger Craig. Locking up that backfield. You're knocking up top of my backfield. I got Joe Montana back there. I put anybody at wide receiver. They're going to be open because you're going to have to stack the box against Gore and Craig. Let's go.
Are you putting Craig at his college position of fullback? Are you going to let them block for each other? Because Gore could block for Craig just as easily as Craig could block for Gore, probably. They're both well-built dudes. Both could help you out receiving out of the backfield, too.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna take receiver for a long time, gentlemen. I've already got that all taken care of. Don't worry. These guys are gonna catch 80 passes each out of the backfield from Joe, and when he needs to hit somebody on a slant, don't worry, I got slant guys coming. Don't worry.
Wow, Croc, I can tell, is not liking the way things have gone. He was doing backflips and excited about a lot of the picks, the guys that were falling to him in the first couple of rounds, and now he's getting a little bit worried. He's seeing running backs off the board that he was going to draft. He's seeing defensive players off the board he's going to draft. Hey, Croc, this isn't 7-on-7, okay? We're going to draft 22 guys. You got to have 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense.
Oh, I'm ready. Trust me. I'm ready to go.
Corners here.
I'm ready to go, man. Shoot, we can't do one more round. I'm ready to go right now.
We're going to have to wait. We're out of time. We're going to have to wait until next week to get into round 5 here. And, we can start going a little bit quicker with some of these picks. But this is fantastic stuff. I love how this has started. And definitely some curveballs being thrown here. I like how Wink is loading up on the running backs. I'm sure once Frank Gore was gone, both Croc and I would have liked to get our hands on Roger Craig. But there's some other running backs that are potentially out there for Team Croc and Team Peacock. But, oh, man, this is a lot of fun. So to recap the first 4 rounds in part 1 of the 2022 all-time San Francisco 49ers draft, Team Winkler, who had the first pick in the draft, he has Joe Montana at quarterback, Bryant Young on the defensive line, and doubling up on running backs, Frank Gore and Roger Craig. And by the way, I agree with you, Wink. He belongs in the Hall of Fame based on other folks that are in the Hall of Fame. Team Crocker, who had the second selection in the all-time San Francisco 49ers draft through 4 rounds, has quarterback Steve Young, wide receiver Terrell Owens, and doubled up on cornerbacks and Deion Sanders and Jimmy Johnson. And Team Peacock with the third selection in the all-time San Francisco 49ers draft so far has wide receiver Jerry Rice, safety Ronnie Lott, pass rusher Charles Haley, and linebacker Patrick Willis. That is fantastic stuff. I can't wait to see how the rest of these teams are filled out. I do want to thank everybody for listening and making Locked On 49ers your first listen every single day. We'll be back tomorrow, Croc and I will. There's a whole bunch of things to talk about with mini camp notes, who's there, who's not, who's playing, what they're doing while they are on the field. And, of course, next Wednesday, Winky Wednesdays for the rest of the month, we will be finishing up our all-time San Francisco 49ers draft. Let me see it in the comments section on YouTube. Let's hear it on Twitter, at BD Peacock, at Eric_Crocker, at Bay Area Wink. Who you got? Team Wink, Team Croc, Team Peacock? Who's drafting the best team so far? And, of course, we'll be back with you tomorrow right here, Locked On 49ers.
See ya.